I'm Jill Menze, news editor at PhocusWire, and I'm joined here today with Andrew Schulz, who is CEO at NoiseAware. So,
hi, Jill. Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you. Got to start off. Congratulations being named one of our Hot 25 startups for 2022.
Thank you so much. It's been the team's done a fantastic job over the last few years solving this problem, and I'm excited to see their hard work pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just start with, give us an overview on what does NoiseAware do exactly?
Well, we're a hardware-enabled service that can allow our customers to basically define what quiet means. And so that if they happen to have a guest that's not exactly following quiet hours, they're actually the first to know instead of the last to know.
By not having like this kind of solution or not addressing this issue, how does that contribute to a loss of revenue or something for an accommodations provider or home manager?
It's actually the number one problem in the short-term rental space because I think we've all seen the headlines. Occasionally, some guests try to use the property incorrectly. And when that happens, there's generally damage. We see that the average damage claim for interest is about $13,000. And when that happens, you can't just immediately rebook it. And unlike a hotel, it's not like you can just give them another room in the building. You've actually lost that entire listing for some amount of time. So it's actually very disruptive.
Yeah. And how would a property manager have addressed that in the past? Just like wait to get a call from
Unfortunately, quite often it fell on the neighbors to be the noise monitor, which is obviously not why they're living in that community. And the more professional property managers would have security staff that would roam around, or there'd be basically an on-call number that somebody could call, but still somebody else outside the organization has to experience the issue and then do something. And we just are excited to allow our customers to be proactive in how they manage this.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk a bit about this resolution revolution? What does that mean exactly?
Well, we're excited that one of our newest features to launch is we actually want to solve 100% of the problem for our customers without any of their staff being involved.
Okay.
And as you can imagine, this issue actually happens most often at night when your staff is asleep or you have a very reduced staff. So what we've been able to do, starting with our night agent service, where we had a call center that basically acted as that for our customers, now we've actually gone one step further and worked with some of the most well-known property management systems in the space to automate that entire process through a set of basically automated and polite messages to the guest in case there is an issue.
Yeah, can you talk a bit about some partnerships? I know you were with, I think it's Migo, who is part of Airbnb, or Airbnb invested in them. I'm forgetting the exact, talk about your partnerships.
A couple partnerships. We work with all the major platforms as they understand this is an issue and they want to be proactive. We have a very close relationship with the Vrbo Expedia government relations team. So that we act as a tool for them when they're having conversations at the city level. And then most recently, Migo is a brand inside of RealPage through a partnership with Airbnb, and just basically expanding the opportunity to host.
Yeah, how do governments in particular get involved in, what's the trade-off there? What's the benefit to each?
Well, we're in this, I think, quite exciting moment where the short-term rental space is coming into its maturity. And cities are starting to look at it as it really is, which is another type of accommodations. And there's a very well-established set of regulations in the hotel space that will eventually get applied in some capacity in the short-term rental space. What we don't want happen is the few bad actors in any particular town or bad guests make that legislation very restrictive and actually reduce supply and honestly opportunity to travel to those communities. So we're a tool at the community level to make sure that if there is that rare occasion, which we see it's about 1 in 200 stays, where a guest is not following the rules, that it's proactively managed and done most effectively. So it doesn't fall on, again, the neighbors or city officials.
Right. And do you collect data then from a government or an OTA? What do you do with the data that you're collecting and that you get from them?
Yeah, so we actually try not to interact with any guest data as often as possible.
Okay.
So what we like to do is actually, when we have an alert, is pass it off to another system where we've worked with them to build in the feature. As privacy is our number one concern, we want to make sure that in every aspect of our business, we're protecting that privacy.
Would you say the pandemic has sort of put a spotlight on, I mean, we've seen the short-term rental sector just boom because of the pandemic and people wanting these distant stays, but how has that kind of put a spotlight on Noise and what you're doing?
Yeah, it's been an interesting confluence of events, as I think everyone's been excited to stay in a short-term rental over the last year and a half. And because bars, restaurants, clubs have all been closed, there's unfortunately been quite a few more, a few more of those headline events. And before the pandemic, we saw about 1 in 200 stays had a significant issue. We've actually seen that go down to about 1 in 110 stays. So the problem's actually gone up, and the need to be proactive has gone up. And I think the term is revenge travel. That's not my favorite term. It's basically expanded to all types of accommodations. So we're actually starting to see quite a bit of interest from the hotel space as well.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so you're primarily in rentals, and how are you looking at other places? Hotels. It could even be, opportunities in event venues or something like that. How else are you looking to expand?
Well, right now we got to stay really focused on the short-term rental space. Our customers are expanding very quickly, and we want to make sure that they're successful. But at the same time, we do want to make sure that as we continue to expand our services for more and more property managers, that we do it in a way that we can eventually come into the hotel space as they're seeing the same issues, whether it be a change in traveler mix or the staffing shortages that they're looking for technology.
I feel like there's something in there with the staffing shortages and how you can kind of fill that gap.
And it's been interesting because the short-term rental space has actually kind of pioneered those low headcount hospitality operations, and we're seeing that style of operations actually get adopted quite quickly in the hotel space. So it's a very fun industry to be in right now.
How do you deal with perhaps a property manager that's like, I don't need a noise solution. Like, it's fine. How do you kind of address that? Do you get that often?
It's interesting. It's everyone knows this is an issue. I think what our job to do is to educate that it's a problem that technology can solve, and that they can actually be proactive and be a better member of their community. And that's where we want to stay focused. And we see that message really resonate, because ultimately everyone in hospitality they're a great group of people. They like making sure everyone is having a great experience. That includes their neighbors.
You're here to please. That's always what hospitality is all about. So NoiseAware actually got $8 million funding in April.
That's right.
What have you done with that so far, and what are your goals moving forward?
Yeah, I'm excited to raise our Series A, led by Thayer Ventures and S3 Ventures. And we've been using that to bring on some of these features we've already talked about. We're starting to launch internationally, as the market's obviously very large in the US, but it's equally as large outside in Europe, and seeing quite a few issues in Australia, which is interesting. So we're expanding.
What makes Australia unique in that?
I don't know what it is, but every week when we get into the office on Monday, we're just flooded with inbound inquiries from Australia. So I don't know what's going down there, but I kind of want to go check it out and see.
Yeah, well, once they open up for you, you're
that's right. We got to get over a few more COVID hurdles. I'm glad European travel's back.
Yep. Yeah.
As of last week. So we'll see if that causes another spike in demand for our service. I'm very interested to see how that plays out. But
great. All right. Well, thank you again for being here, and congratulations on the Hot 25.
Thank you.